Ever had TSA basically say, that'll be $45 before you can even try to fly? Yeah. Starting February 1st, 2026. That's a real problem if you show up without a real ID or a passport, and it can cost you money, time, and a whole lot of stress right at the checkpoint. So in this video, I'm walking you through the biggest 2026 airport changes that actually hit travelers, what's different, what it looks like in real life, and the quick moves that keep you out of the penalty box. All right, first up, real ID and the new TSA fee that's catching people off guard. Starting February 1st, 2026, if you walk into TSA without a real ID or a passport, you can get hit with a paid backup called Confirm ID. It's about $45, it's non-refundable, and it still isn't a guaranteed pass, because you're not buying your way through. You're paying for them to verify who you are. And if you pay at the airport, it can tack on up to about 30 extra minutes just to process, right when you're already on the clock. My advice? If you don't have a real ID yet, go deal with it at the DMV now, because things are about to get a lot stricter. DMV is where this problem is boring, TSA is where it gets expensive. And watch the timing. If your trip stretches longer than 10 days, that $45 can turn into $90 on a round trip, because you may get hit again on the way home. If TSA has ever pulled you aside, comment yes. If not, not yet. And if this saved you a mess, hit like. Even better, the next trap can block you with your passport in hand, because the missing piece isn't plastic. It's digital approval you were supposed to get before you ever showed up. Good news for tech-savvy travelers. Apple and Google now let you add a digital version of your driver's license or state ID to your phone's wallet, depending on your state and the digital ID program. TSA accepts digital ID at 250 plus airports, so in a lot of places, you can stop doing the wallet shuffle at the checkpoint. When your airport supports it, you tap your phone or watch, confirm on your screen, and you're done. Fast, clean, and way harder to lose than a piece of plastic. 2 rules, so this doesn't backfire. Set it up at home, not in the TSA line, and keep your physical ID as backup until you've personally used the digital lane at your usual airport, because not every checkpoint is equipped the same way. If you've got PreCheck, the touchless flow can feel even smoother. And if you're a Clear member with PreCheck, e-gates are rolling out to around 30 airports and still expanding. Perfect timing with the World Cup travel surge coming in June 2026. Quick move. Check if your state participates, add it through the DMV flow, then test it on a short domestic trip. For international travel, don't gamble, bring the physical passport, and since your phone is basically your boarding pass, your wallet, and your sanity now, let's talk about the one thing everybody wants it to do on a flight: actually connect. While we're already talking about using your phone to move smarter through the airport, let's talk about using it in the air without paying hostage prices. United's rolling out Starlink, which means way faster Wi-Fi on more planes, and on a lot of flights, it's free if you're a Mileage Plus member. Alaska's jumping in with Starlink too, so that airplane Wi-Fi is basically a prank era is finally starting to fade. And American just teamed up with AT&T. They're saying you'll see free high-speed Wi-Fi on more planes than any other US airline, which is a big deal if you fly them a lot. Here's the lock. If you fly often, your loyalty account is basically your free Wi-Fi key. That's the only catch. Most of the free Wi-Fi plays require you to be in the airline's loyalty program, but that's not a hassle. It's a 2-minute sign-up that can save you real money and quietly stack miles while you're at it. Do it before you travel. Make the account, save the login, and have it ready. Because trying to reset a password at 35,000 feet is how you end up staring at the flight map like it's premium entertainment. All right, now that your ID and your Wi-Fi are handled, the next trap is the one that blindsides people. The pre-approval you were supposed to get before you ever showed up. This is the trap I teased. Because it doesn't hit you at TSA, it hits you at check-in. Your passport can be perfect, and the boarding pass still won't show up. The app freezes, or it kicks you to see agent, like your phone just forgot how to make a QR code. What's really happening is simple. Airlines are doing the gatekeeping now. If they fly you somewhere you're not cleared to enter, they eat the mess. So they want proof before you ever get on the plane. Big change for 2026, the UK. For visa-free travelers, including Americans, the 25th of February 2026 is the hard line. No ETA, no boarding. The ETA is basically the UK's digital pre-approval, permission to travel, not a visa, and it's not free. The UK ETA costs £16, it's tied to the passport you apply with, and it's valid for 2 years or until that passport expires. So if you renew your passport later, you're doing the ETA again. Connections are where people get blindsided. If you transit and stay airside, you're usually fine. But if your connection turns into an entry, terminal change, recheck, overnight, anything that sends you through passport control, you can need that ETA. That's why it's just a layover isn't a strategy. And Europe's next. ETIS is expected in the last quarter of 2026. Think of it as Europe's version of ESTA, a pre-approval step before travel. The fee is set to be €20, and it's valid for 3 years or until your passport expires. Meaning, once again, new passport equals new authorization. All right, paperwork can ground you before you even leave the house. But even if you've got every approval saved and your passport is spotless, you can still get stalled by the smallest stuff in your bag, because the scanners in 2026 are catching things people don't even remember packing. In 2026, security can look like it's finally getting faster, right up until you hear, "Whose bag is this?" That's not because the line is falling apart. It's because more airports are using newer CT-style scanners that can read what's inside your carry-on in way more detail. The result is weirdly efficient. The line keeps moving, but more bags get singled out for a quick extra look. And it's almost never the big obvious stuff. It's the tiny thing you forgot you left in there. A mini tool in a side sleeve. A random battery you tossed in for later. That old travel bottle you didn't even realize was still in the lining. Small item, big delay, because it triggers a flag, and now you're stuck doing bag archaeology while everyone else glides past. So, your 2026 carry-on strategy is simple. Don't let your bag become a junk drawer. Keep things grouped. One pouch for chargers and batteries, one for toiletries, one for snacks, and before you leave for the airport, do a 30-second sweep, side pockets, bottom corners, anything you haven't touched since your last trip. The less mystery your bag has, the less time you'll spend on the inspection table. And this isn't only carry-ons, checked bags get screened too, and sharper screening means more suitcases get flagged for a manual look behind the scenes. You'll usually never get a text about it, you'll just open your bag later and notice the inspection slip, or that the zipper doesn't feel exactly how you left it. Next, it gets even stranger. Because boarding is starting to look less like a person scanning your pass, and more like a camera recognizing your face by default. You step up to scan your boarding pass, and the gate agent doesn't even look at it. They just nod at the camera and go, "You're good, just look forward." That's the new normal coming fast. Face scan boarding is spreading, and 2026 is when you'll see it at more gates, more airports, more keep walking instead of flashing a QR code. Airlines push it because it speeds up boarding and matches you to your travel record in seconds, especially on international routes. For you, it means fewer phone fumbles and more moments where the camera does the check-in for you. Here's how you don't get caught off guard. Decide before you reach the podium. If you're fine with it, step up, look straight, keep moving. If you're not, you can usually opt out and do a manual document check. Just say, "I'd like to opt out, I'll use my passport." Calm, simple, done. And it's not only a gate thing. This biometric era is showing up at borders too, especially in Europe, where your first entry under newer systems can feel less like stamp and go and more like enrollment. If face scan boarding feels like the new era, Europe's taking that same energy and installing it at the border. The Entry-Exit System, EES, is the EU's biometric check-in for non-EU visitors. It starts rolling out the 12th of October 2025, and the ramp-up runs into April 2026. So depending on where you land, passport control can suddenly include an extra step you didn't have last time. You walk up expecting the usual quick look, and you get redirected to a kiosk. Scan your passport, take a live photo, give fingerprints. The first trip is the slow one, because a whole plane full of people is first time at the exact same moment. The line looks fine until it hits that invisible wall. And don't panic if you still get a stamp during the transition. A stamp doesn't mean EES didn't work. It just means rollout season is messy. The real change is what you don't get to argue with anymore. EES tracks the Schengen 90 days in any 180 automatically. No more airport cafe math. No more convincing yourself you counted right because you really want it to be true. Quick fix so you don't become the bottleneck. Show up mentally ready for the kiosk. Passport in hand, face unobstructed, fingers clean and dry. And if your passport photo barely looks like you now, new beard, big change, anything dramatic, updating it before a major Europe trip can save a lot of extra screening. Tell me what you use to track your 90 over 180 days. Calendar, notes, or the screenshot you swear you'll update. Because once you clear the border, most people go hunting for the same thing to recover: a lounge. And in 2026, lounges are where the surprises start. After a brutal travel day, a lounge feels like the finish line, and then you meet the new airport villain, at capacity. Doesn't matter what card you've got, full is full. And 2026 has an even sneakier rule changes. Partner access only before a certain hour, no guests during peak, 2-hour limits, sometimes even reservations. Why? Lounge access got way more common, credit cards, memberships, paid entry, so lounges are doing crowd control from every angle. Wait lists, tighter time windows, stricter guest rules, sometimes even reservations. So here's the move. Before you walk over, check capacity and the rules for your time block. And make sure you're looking at the right lounge, because airline lounges and partner lounges don't always play by the same book. Then pick a backup reset spot first. A quiet gate area, a corner near an empty pod, anywhere you can breathe. Treat the lounge like a bonus, not a plan. Next up, that same don't count on it mindset spreads across the terminal, because more airports are going cashless and some airlines are charging people who show up expecting paper. The lounge turns you away, you pivot for a coffee, and your cash suddenly feels like a museum exhibit. More counters are going card only, tap only, or QR, app ordering. Bottom line, cash can't always save you anymore. So carry a tap-ready physical card, plus one backup that isn't living inside your phone, because nothing ruins a quick coffee like a dead battery and a card-only sign. And it's not just food. Some airlines have basically turned print my boarding pass into a bill. Frontier is the classic example. Having an agent printed at the airport can cost up to $25 per person each way. Europe's on the same track. Ryanair is pushing digital boarding passes starting the 12th of November 2025. If you show up, not checked in, and expect the counter to save you, the airport check-in fee is typically around 55 euros. Quick game before the next section. Which one hurts your wallet the most? A, paying to print a boarding pass? Buying a cheap ticket that's secretly empty, no bag, no seat, no flexibility. Canceling and realizing half the add-ons don't come back. Drop A, B, or C. And now let me show you the one change that messes with people even when it's not a fee. Southwest is finally moving to assigned seats. Southwest used to be a seat Hunger Games. You refresh at check-in, then power walk down the aisle, hoping the seat you want hasn't vanished. I've done the whole ritual. Alarm set for exactly 24 hours, thumbs ready, acting like my Wi-Fi speed determines my fate. It's ridiculous. and also kind of real. Starting with flights on or after the 27th of January 2026, Southwest begins shifting toward assigned seats. You'll see seat types like standard, preferred, and extra legroom. Depending on the fare, you'll either pick a seat at booking or get assigned at check-in. Boarding gets rebuilt too. Instead of A, B, C with a number, Southwest starts moving to numbered boarding groups 1 through 8. The seat scramble calms down, but boarding order still decides the overhead bin situation. Same date, Southwest also updates the extra seat customer of size process, so if you or someone you travel with needs more than one seat, handle it at booking to avoid gate surprises. The rough moment is at the gate. You're trying to handle it quietly, and the agent says, "This flight's full. I can't add an extra seat today." For travel on or after the 27th of January 2026, Southwest's message is basically, don't leave this to day of. If you might need more than one seat, buy the extra seat up front so it actually exists in the reservation. After the trip, you can request a refund, but it isn't automatic, and it won't be a sure thing on every flight. Here's how to avoid a bad day at the gate. You're booking a Friday afternoon flight, the app is already showing only a few seats left, and you tell yourself, I'll sort it out later. That's the exact setup where people get rebooked, because if there aren't adjacent seats available, Southwest says they may move you to a flight where the space is. So handle it at booking, not during boarding. Keep the extra seat on the same reservation so nobody has to figure it out under pressure. Then think of the refund as an after-travel follow-up, not something you negotiate in a line of people listening. Up next, that same don't wait lesson shows up in pricing, because in 2026, deals don't sit there patiently while you think about it. Airfare in 2026 punishes hesitation. You find a great price, screenshot it, send it to the group chat, come back after dinner, and it's higher. Same flight, same date, like the number heard you talking. That's real-time pricing. When searches spike or seats thin out, the price moves. It's not personal, but it sure feels like it. My rule is the 3-hour rule. If it's truly a good fare, I give myself 3 hours to decide. After that, I assume I'm gambling. 2, this will jump situations, holiday weekends and spring break, and anything with a cruise port where people fly in the day before sailings. Those routes don't stay cheap for long. Here's your safety net. If you book at least 7 days before departure, you usually get a real pause button, the DOT 24-hour rule. Book it, then you've got a day to rethink without paying for the mistake. And don't wait around for the old off-season magic. October and March used to be quiet cheat codes. Now, demand is spread out, so prices don't always drop like they used to. So set alerts and pick 2 numbers, your buy price and your fine, I'll pay it price. When it hits buy, book, then use that 24-hour window to think. Because even after you win the fare, the destination can still surprise you with a fee, entry charges, tourist taxes, QR codes, stuff nobody warns you about until you're already in line. You finally land feeling victorious. Then the destination asks for money you didn't know you owed. Picture this in Venice, right outside Santa Lucia station. You're heading toward the Vaporetto, and a steward stops you like it's totally normal. Do you have the QR code? You go, what? On certain peak days, Venice day trippers are expected to register and pay ahead, then show the QR if they check. Do it early, and it can be €5. Wait, and it can be €10. Skip it, and the fine can go into the hundreds of euros, which is a wild price for, we're just here for a few hours. The trap isn't the money, it's learning the rule when your phone is dying. Bali has the same energy. There's a tourism levy, about 150,000 rupiah, roughly $10, meant to be handled online with a QR voucher. People don't mind paying it. They mind discovering it in a crowded airport with Wi-Fi that acts brand new. Thailand is the one to watch. A 300 baht entry fee keeps getting floated and delayed, with mid-2026 often mentioned, so don't assume entry is always free until you've checked right before you fly. Your travel-proof move. Search your destination plus tourist fee or entry levy. Pay only on the official site, then screenshot the QR and save it offline. Now watch this. Even when you avoid all the fees, the flight itself can still surprise you. In 2026, some normal-looking long flights are showing up on narrow-body jets, 9 or 10 hours, 1 aisle. You'll feel it. At the start, I warned you about one sneaky change. A normal-looking long flight that hits like a trap. This is it. You book a nonstop, you're feeling proud of yourself, then you step on the plane and it hits you. 1 aisle, a 3 and 3 seat layout. The cabin feels like a regular domestic flight, except the screen says 9 or 10 hours. You look around like, where's the other aisle? There isn't one. That's the A321 XLR era. It's a single aisle jet built for long range, long haul length flights on a single aisle so airlines can run routes that used to need bigger planes. The upside is real. More non-stop options between smaller cities that used to require a connection. The part you feel in your bones is the traffic. 1 aisle means every bathroom run turns into a negotiation, and when the cart is out, the aisle basically becomes a wall. Fewer bathrooms for the whole cabin doesn't sound dramatic until you're in row 20-something doing the "do I really need to go right now" math. So before you hit buy, check the aircraft type. If it says A321 on a long segment, treat it like a long flight in a tight hallway. Pick your seat on purpose. Don't wait until you're desperate to use the bathroom, and assume the aisle will get jammed at the worst times. Alright, could you handle 9 or 10 hours on a 1-aisle plane? Comment, "I can," or "Nope." If you made it to the end, you're already ahead of most people flying in 2026, because none of these changes show up as a big warning sign. They show up as a quiet no, a surprise line, or a fee that appears when you're too tired to argue, and the line behind you is breathing. Now I want one honest comment, no story, just a vote. What's most likely to ruin your day? ID, app, liquids, fees, seat, aisle? Hit like, subscribe for more no drama flight guides, and save this as your pre-flight checklist.